Invest in yourself. I was hesitant. I probably should have done this 2 months sooner than that. But don't be afraid to invest in yourself. It's If you're feeling it, it's the right time right now. And this course blows my mind, and I'm only on this module 2, and I'm blown away.
Jen, I am super excited to have you here to really talk all about your success, these huge milestones, breakthroughs, and shifts you've been having. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Super, super grateful to have you. So tell the world all about who you are and what you do to kind of give them a little preface of how you literally quantum leaped since joining the Conscious Creator Academy.
So I have a corporate job that I do love, but I wanted to figure out what my next season of life would be. And that is truly helping people. And I just feel like you just popped into my Instagram, and it was just something that was utterly amazing at the right time, at the right day. And since joining CCA, I just have such a great piece into what I'm doing. And it really solidifies my second season of life, which is being a goal coach and helping women, mostly women who are going through a divorce or been through a divorce or in a separation, any season of that kind of relationship struggles. I had went through a divorce myself. It took me almost 12 years to actually have the divorce. And I just don't want anybody to lose a decade of their life. And that was really what I wanted my next steps to be, to help other women.
I love that so much. And your story is so beautiful. And we talk a lot through our work together, all about how your story can really be so powerful in helping other people. And one thing I want to highlight about you is your vulnerability and your power in speaking your truth and being vulnerable, which allows you to connect. So
Sure. So I married my high school boyfriend. I was with him since I was 15 years old. I guess I didn't realize then what a relationship was supposed to be and how that should be. So I really relied on another person to feed into my happiness and I thought the happiness should come from another person, when learning now that all happiness comes from within. And I really let this person kind of beat my self-esteem down, and then I beat myself down further. And it took me a really long time to actually go through with it, because it was my 30th birthday, and I'm 45 now. I got my divorce in 2016, March of 2016, and we were separated for about 8 years. Didn't live together for 8 years. I call it like we were the, wedding and funeral couple. That's when we were together. Like, let's show up for the weddings together. Let's show up for the events together. But it was just shit, basically. And it wasn't until one day that I woke up and I was just like, I'm letting another person just kill me. Like, my inner self, I'm just letting someone do this to me. And he's not a bad person at all by any stretch of the imagination. He's just a selfish human. So, but I had let that happen. And I think for me, it's funny why I resonated with you is because of your story about you reading The Secret. That's what happened to me. I was on the bus commuting into work, looking through audiobooks, and I found The Secret and I started to listen to it. And that's really when I feel like my life changed for me a little, and the way that I was, my shift in my thinking. And I realized that there's more for me. And I just don't want, I want other people to realize that they're not stuck because they're in a marriage. They're not stuck because of financial issues. You're not stuck. The power is within, and it's to understand that and get there sometimes takes a long time. For me, it took way too long.
I love that. So it sounds like you really had this desire to make a difference in this world because maybe you felt like in your own life that like I could have done this sooner. And now it sounds like your mission is to help other women see that. Help other women see that potential and be that light. And there's so much power that comes from speaking your truth because then you're able to help other people through being in integrity with yourself. So what has that looked like for you? Walk me through from when you had this like breakthrough moment to when we had our first conversation where you're like, I need to turn this into a business. What was that process like for you?
I always knew I'm a big, like, I love the hustle. Like I always did. I tried so many different things, like what's going to be my next thing. Anytime I did any of the work to figure out what I wanted for myself and really looked within, I'm like, I just want to help people, but I didn't know what that looked like. And then I decided that, oh, like, I know for me, like goals are like planning and mapping out your goals is such a big part of my life. And I was like, oh, I can coach people and to how they can achieve the life of their dreams through their aspirations and their goals. And I didn't realize until that I joined your program and you do all this amazing work in the beginning of like mindset work and like looking within. And it is such important work because I didn't realize the divorce aspect of this until I did that work. And I know you pushed me to like, I was like, I don't really want to talk about it. I don't want all these feelings to come up. And I was like, I don't want to go back there. That's originally, you and I had this conversation. I'm like, I don't want to go back there. And you were like, okay, like, then what else? Go back and do the work. And every time I went back and did it, it just didn't feel real. And I love the fact of your program, how you can get onto the group and you respond right away. It was a Saturday morning. It was like 6:30 in the morning. I was like, I did a class. I did one of the modules and I was like, okay, I need to do this post to tell my story. And I did it. And you were like, dig deeper. And you gave me some constructive criticism. And I was like, okay. And finally I was like, fuck it. The divorce is where it is really what I feel the most passionate about, to help people. And I did it. And you're like, that's it. And then that's just kind of how it happened. And it's so funny because that specific post that we went back and forth a little bit, and then I wind up posting what really was from my heart. That's how I got my client.
Oh my God. This is just like a huge breakthrough because you shattered your own glass ceiling of like, I can no longer not speak my truth. And it's like that burning desire within you to say, I need to show up in my most authentic self because now you're taking on this responsibility of helping guide other people. And it's like you have this calling where you're like, I need to share this work. And those are the people that I love to work with. And I love having you in the container so much. And the reason and really what kind of sparked the mission and vision for having this podcast was when you just posted in the group a couple days ago how you signed your first client in less than 30 days of joining. You had your first client, a 4-figure client. Like, this is huge. Please tell us the whole story from the moment you joined to the moment you made that post and you're like, I am freaking celebrating. And I'm like, let's throw a party in this group right now to celebrate you because this is huge. Less than 30 days, like you blew me away.
I'm still shocked. Like, I'm totally incredibly shocked. And I think I shared this on our call too. Is like, I really said to myself in the beginning, I'm going to really do this. do this work. And I loved, like I said, loved the mindset work in the beginning. And then when we got into the second module, I tried to do one a week and really do the work and not move on. Like I really tried to take it because the work is so important. And it's like, you want to get to other things, but I really tried to check myself and really do that. And then, I was posting constantly on social media. I was doing all the things, and I was like, it was so funny because it was 2 Fridays ago, and I posted some things. Crickets, I felt like. You feel like it's crickets, right? There was no likes, no comments, whatever. I had an event to go to. I went to the event, and somebody grabbed me on my shoulder, and they were like, "Hey, Jen." And I knew this woman. I don't really know her that well, but I knew her from a friend of a friend. Actually know her through my brother too. And she was like, that post that you posted last week, we need to talk. And like, it got really busy, and like, she was working the event, so she couldn't really talk. And so the next morning I was like, I'm going to reach out to her. So I reached out to her. We had set up a time to have coffee. We had coffee, and I was worried because we were talking a lot about financial things, and I was getting like angst. I was like, oh, how, and I didn't want it to be salesy because that's not what it was about. We really just talked about her, and I kind of even forgot about the fact that I was there to try to, coach her and be her mentor. I forgot about that and both in her story, and just gave her some of my tips and like things that I went through because she's struggling in her marriage and a lot of other things. And she was like, okay, so how do I work with you? So I just said, here's the price. And she was like, done. I was like, okay.
And we need to unpack this because your power in pulling to, I am here to help you, I'm here to serve you, I'm here to give back, is what attracted her so deeply into how can I work with you? And this is the common thing that when people are interested in joining my program, interested in working together, and maybe even you felt this way in the beginning too, you're like, well, how am I going to make these sales? No one's commenting on my posts, right? We get into scarcity trying to think of the KPIs or looking at analytics or vanity metrics. And the truth is, I remember so vividly in your post, you're like, I shut my laptop, I closed the script, and I led with heart. How did that feel for you to just
that's right. Yes, I forgot about that part. Yeah. Well, I come from a corporate environment, right? So I was like all ready. I had all this stuff out, my laptop out, I had everything ready. And I was like, here's my questions. Here's this, here's that. So she had to walk into the coffee shop, and I could just see, like that she wasn't having a great day. And I like looked down, I shut my laptop off. I'm like, this is just not about this. And that's how we kind of chatted, and we actually talked for like an hour and 15 minutes. And I really did forget why this appointment was here. I just was having coffee with somebody that was going through a shitty time.
Yeah. And when we talk about that, I say, you're in the vortex, right? You're in the vortex of abundance. You're in the vortex of being such a magnet that people are attracted to you. This is attraction-based marketing. So even though you didn't realize you were doing it, by being yourself and leading with heart, it really, like, I think of it like a boyfriend, right? When you're dating a guy and you're like, ooh, I'm going to play a little bit hard to get. Like, I want to pull him in. I want to reel him in. And you subconsciously did that because you just stood in your truth and your power. Like, you didn't even mean to do it by any means. And this is the kind of business that I want to help more women build, because as you can see, you're like, I felt like I was there with a friend. That's how I felt on our call. That's how I feel on this podcast. I'm like, I have something that can help you. Do you want to be a part of it? Yes or no? And if you don't, I'll still love you anyways, right? I'll still help you. I'll still guide you. It's really just that coaching, that mentorship, that support is like, let's do life together. Like, I want back pocket support. I want someone in my right-hand corner. And it really can be that easy.
Definitely. I remember, like, I was so excited when I left, and then I sat in my car and I was like, oh my God, I have to call my boyfriend. And then I just sat there and I was like, I actually started to like cry a little, and I'm like, she's me 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got excited because I was like, she doesn't have to wait a decade. Like, she doesn't
Yeah.
have to. Like, I'm going to help her. She doesn't have to do that. So, it was just such like a breakthrough, really.
I love that so much. And I want to circle back a little bit to how the program has supported you and helped you. So, knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell yourself on day one of starting the program, when you kind of have those like first day of school vibes?
I would definitely say in the beginning, I was like, oh, well, I don't want to post. You have this the platform you use is phenomenal. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I wasn't sure how the other women would like respond to posts, and because you are like shouting out your successes or like your questions. I think I halted on that for the first like couple weeks, and like sat back and just did the work, and didn't really comment that much. I mean, I commented on other people's things, but not maybe on my own posts. The community that you have there and the women are just so supportive. And I am now talking to them outside of the platform, and we're chatting, and I want to meet up with a couple of them, and like just like because some of them are in the New York area or New Jersey. So just amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. I one of the women that you have in the program does a phenomenal jewelry line, and I come from a fashion background, so I helped her with her SRPs, and like just like offline, and just really a great community. I think that's if I would have delved in quicker on the community, because the women are just ass kicking.
I love that. And this morning, I actually recorded a podcast with one of my really close friends that I met inside of a community. So hearing this from you is so beautiful, because that's really like my mission. Like my closest friends, my personal network now is people I met through investing in myself. So it's like investing in yourself goes so much further than just like some videos or some resources that you buy. It's like you're committing to your future self. You're committing to being a part of something bigger than you. You're committing to community support, standing in your leadership, showing up, bringing something to the community. And I think that's so beautiful. So going back to investing in yourself, did you have any fears before investing in yourself and investing into the program?
Oh, definitely. Like, I was super nervous. Is this the right move? It's, financially, but not only that, just the time commitment. Like, your time is very valuable, especially when you're trying to do something on the side, right? And you still have, a very demanding corporate job. So you're just like, that's what I was really nervous about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to either not commit to this and not have the time, or commit to this, do it, and not get enough out of it, or not get what I need out of it. And I was really hoping, and after we chatted, I just felt, I mean, I think you knew I was very hesitant, but I really wanted this. I had such a good vibe from you. Like, a vibe is everything to me. Like, I just had like a really good feeling. And when I got into the modules and you started with the mindset work, I was like, oh yeah, she's got me. This is it. Because it's true. Everything is about the mindset. If you're like in a shitty place, like no matter what, it's not going to work out for you. You know what I mean? And it's really you're not putting enough into it. But that was my biggest concern. It was like time, and am I getting enough out of it? And access was another thing. I was like worried about access. Like, okay, great. We had a great call, and like I was just okay, but what if I have a question along the way? Like, that's what because I've been in a couple of things, not like this, but on a very, very smaller scale. And it was like, it's crickets. And I was really nervous about that. And that is not that way in your program. So that's so amazing.
Thank you for spreading light on that, because that is like one of my biggest values is support. I was actually talking with one of my coaches today, and I literally like raised awareness. And I was like, hey, I'm not receiving the support that you promised or that you said. And he was like, I totally hear you. Like, let me talk to your coach. Let me talk to your support coach. So that integrity of really having support. And he said, can you give me some more feedback on this program? And I was like, honestly, the reason why I signed up is because of I can turn to a human, and this course is humanized. And that is what really inspired me to make this course so human, like having live calls, having a group, getting a response no later than 24 hours, like usually within the hour, and really going above and beyond to make people know and feel seen and heard, because that's what's going to differentiate in the online space, is really humanizing these kind of programs and businesses, because not all of them are doing that.
Totally. Even your weekly Zooms, it's like you kick it off, but then it's Q&A, and it's like, this is where it's at. Like I will never get on those calls and not raise my hand. Like, this is where it's at. This is the whole point. You know what I mean? So like that, and the fact that you have created those, that it's not really a course at that time, so to speak. You kick it off with like some amazing nuggets, but then after that, it's like, okay, what do you guys need? What do you need help with? And then that's phenomenal in itself.
I love that so much. So tell us what's next for you. Just to kind of recap this timeline for everyone, Jen joined CCA. She was proactive. You did the work. We need to commend you for that. You showed up. You came to all the calls. You posted in the group. You asked questions. You did the deeper work. You accepted constructive criticism, which are huge green flags for me as a coach. And then in less than 30 days, you signed on your first paid client, 4 figures. You signed on a paid client, never launched this business before, like huge within less than 30 days. Like, what? So now tell us what's next for you after this huge accomplishment and where you see yourself going.
I definitely want to help more women. That's first and foremost. But it's so funny, but because like doing this work, part of my program that I give to my clients is that I give them a 90-day plan, like goal planner. So I started, and I had put this planner together for myself way like long time back, and I use this planner for me, and I was like, wow, maybe I can like mass produce this planner. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking about now as far as like the next thing, but definitely just really want to help more women.
I love that. Jen, thank you for all your work you do. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast, sharing your experience. The last kind of thing I want to touch upon is if someone's on the fence of joining CCA or any of my programs, what is one thing you wish you could say to them or they could hear right now?
Invest in yourself. I was hesitant. I probably should have done this 2 months sooner than that. But don't be afraid to invest in yourself. If you're feeling it, it's the right time right now. And this course blows my mind, and I'm only on this module 2, and I'm blown away.
Jen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so exciting.
Of course. So I can't wait to continue watching you flourish. I just have a feeling in a year from now, you're going to be coming back on the show and you're going to blow everybody's socks off even more.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.